Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red?
You don't have to answer that question.
I'll answer the question.
Never intended to authorize anyone. I simply do not know where the money is.
For $1.2 billion of customers' money, you know nothing about it.
I have neither the time nor the inclination to explain myself.
I don't recall, and I don't know.
You don't want the truth because deep down in places you don't talk about at parties, you want me on that wall.
From the Strategic Effects Laboratory here on the CMZ in the South Loop, my name's Andrew Coffey, or Coffee Grinds, and I'm here with Eric Wolfman Wilkinson. I want to illustrate a article that was written in Forbes by Francine McKenna. Now, we put it on the board here, and it's the question of who gave the loan. So we're going to go over this. What's up, Eric?
How you doing? How you doing, CMZ and Tweeps out there?
All right, so let's go back to the 21st. I'm going to get behind the camera, but you describe what happened on the 21st here.
On the 21st here of October, we started hearing rumblings going on. You know, there was just rumors being thrown around that MF Global may be having a little bit of difficulty, that they might be too into the overseas government debt in Europe, some of their bonds or whatever. We don't really know exactly what their trades were that they had on, but the speculation is they were into the Eurozone debt, and when those spreads started widening out, the bonds, they started getting hurt. They were on the wrong side of it, maybe short some of those bonds, and when those bonds went up, like in Italy and Spain, went above 6 and 7%, that's when he started getting hurt. Now, that was on the 21st. Then we started seeing that JP Morgan got out of MF Global, stopped the backing of MF Global, and then their stock started precipitously falling at that point in time. Then we go into the 26th, where John Corzine realized that he needed to come up with a boatload of cash to get him into the weekend to try and find a buyer of MF Global. Now, that's where the who comes in. Who gave Corzine that money?
And this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so John Corzine needed $400 million, right? So who do you go to that has $400 million? I don't know. Who do you think?
It had to be somebody overseas is what it's looking like, because if it was anybody that was actually tied to MF Global at that time, would have been in the United States, and then they would have actually been under the laws and regulations governing what was going on. Now,
The beginning positions that we took in Euro sovereigns were on the books of one of our other subsidiaries, not in the FINRA regulated subsidiary.
you know, he's a control freak, John Corzine, you know, and they're saying that he probably really did know what was going on. That's why he went overseas somewhere where the regulations might not be able to be affected. And the person, the WHO, would have known this, that the regulations of the United States wouldn't affect them overseas too.
So if somebody's going to give you $400 million, they're going to say, well, what are you going to give me if you don't pay the $400 million back? Well, why don't we give you $1.2 billion of liquid stuff? Could you share with us what kind of liquid stuff we're talking about?
Well, the $1.2 billion in liquid stuff basically was CME stock that traders had when they bought into the CME. They have gold and silver, where these traders have been buying gold for maybe $300, $400, and actually paying storage at the CME to hold on to that stock. They use that as an asset and, and their margin. Then you can go on, you buy T-bills. A lot of traders will buy T-bills so that they can get a little bit of interest, because the money that's in your account that you use to trade as margin doesn't gain you any interest. It just is used for margin. So that's where the cash comes in. And then the really big part, which is the livelihood of the traders, are their seats. Something like this, $16 to $500,000 is the value that these are traded on the CME floor. Basically, they have an exchange where you can buy and sell seats. Anyone can do that. So they pledge all of these different things in order to trade with. So when they're trading, say, an option or something like that, their option may call that they have to have, $100,000, $200,000 in margin. Well, they might have $100,000 in cash, and then these other different liquid things that they would use as margins, so that they don't always have to keep writing checks to cover the margins if they go over by a little bit when they have a trade on. Now, the real interesting thing about this is, when JP Morgan got out, they knew that MF Global didn't have any of these things to pledge. So the person, the WHO, actually should have really wondered where all of this amount of $1.2 billion worth of stuff came from. They had to know that that wasn't actually something that was a house fund. So this WHO, to give the $400 million, which $400 to $500 million was getting 50 cents on the dollar of stuff that they had to know wasn't actually MF Global's assets.
So what happened on the 27th is they moved this pile of stuff offshore to be sold in an event that this deal wouldn't go down, which it didn't because
This is where the CME came in and did their audit of MF Global to see if they were in compliance with the regulations and everything. So this is where CME is saying that they did their audit. John Corzine and MF Global were in compliance. And then sometime after the close of the CME, he did a little sneaky trick, went around, moved all that into the house accounts, and then the WHO came in to give him the $400 to $500 million.
and then of course they went BK that Monday on Halloween, the hoax day. They went BK, and what'd they do with that pile of stuff?
It got liquidated immediately, and it's
Sold.
gone. I mean,
Sold.
people that had that, $400 ounce of gold sitting there paying
Sold.
gone.
Gone.
Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Did you order the code red?
I did the job. Did you order the code red? You're goddamn right I did.
So who called the code red?
Who called the code red was when
Few good trades.
a few good trades. When the traders woke up basically on Monday and they were getting margin calls left and right, people were saying, I've got gold in there from, 2006 that you can use as my margin. I got my seat there that you can use as margin. And little did they know that they didn't have a seat. They didn't have any assets at all.
The one thing that struck me, Mr. Corzine, about your governor or senator, I don't know what to call you exactly.
A lot of people have bad names.
John, maybe, I don't know. But
When they were talking yesterday, when Corzine was talking, did you hear anybody of the senators asking who this person would have been?
No, they never did. No senator ever brought any of that up. Now, that would have been the question that probably should have been first asked. Was,
Who loaned the $400 million?
and how did that person think that you all of a sudden came up with this much $1.2 billion worth of assets? But it could have very well been the person taking a hedge.
Oh yeah, forgot to mention about that. There was 9,000 November 1 puts. We printed this up on the Option Monster site. I'm going to put up a link and a picture of it right now. But we cited this activity on the 26th that somebody put up 9,000 contracts. That's 4 times the open interest.
That's a great hedge if you, especially when you know what's going to happen. I mean, it's kind of like when those senators bought GM puts. They knew that GM was going to go down. This person knew MF Global was in trouble. Now, they bought into this, and that was going to be a huge winner. Those went to zero.
Well, there you have it, folks. The Who. Eric, thanks for coming by today, and we'll have to do a blackboard like this again, maybe another subject for another day.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Remember, folks, if you can't take that, take it easy.
Take it easy. Oh, my card sucks.
You have that luxury. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.